How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews back with yet another review. And, stout time. It's always stout time, technically, but I know I make that joke every time, but whatever. Anyway, today we're going to be doing Springhouse Breweries Bloodlust. I've had a bunch of Springhouse's beers before. They're semi-local to me. I'm in northeastern Pennsylvania. They're a bit south of Lancaster. So they're about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from me. So we do see a lot of their offerings. I've had their most popular one would probably be their Big Gruesome Peanut Butter Porter. I've had that. I've had their Brains, which is like a I forget what style it is. Pumpkin beer. Then there's a couple other ones. I know I've had them, and they're nice beers. But this is probably the biggest, quote unquote, biggest offering I've had from them. Anyway. And it's the first one I'm reviewing from them too, which is awesome. So there you go. As far as what it says on the bottle, we have here Bloodlust. Aged with cocoa nibs, vanilla beans, cinnamon sticks, and habanero peppers. Sounds delicious. Russian Imperial Stout, Springhouse. On the side here, government warning stuff. Brewed and bottled by Springhouse Brewing Company. Conestoga, Toga, PA. Recycling stuff, and that's it. Couple things. One, that's all there is on a label. Huge fan of that. Two, ghetto black cap. So, you know me and my ghetto-ness. I love it. So, yeah, label-wise, it's really cool. It's just basically showing some real sketchy, drawn teeth, a little bit of blood on it, and just says Bloodlust. So, yeah, I mean, that's an awesome, from ghetto cap to the way the label's done, everything about it. Huge fan. So, we're going into this with a... with high hopes. Their labeling is pretty on point, man. It's usually kind of like a flash animation, kind of hokey, cartoony stuff. And I'm not saying that in a negative light. It actually works for me as far as their labeling goes. But this is a little bit of a departure from what they normally do. So I'm kind of excited. From label to everything. So there you go. And we're going to show you how a Russian Imperial Stout pours, because you can't see anything because it's on camera and it's just going to be dark, and it looks like a tar. So there you go. Yada, yada, yada. Anyway, nice little bubbles coming off the top there. Super, super duper, duper, duper creamy head. Tiny bubbles. 3 fingers worth. Nice coffee-colored head. Color-wise, like I said, I mean, I hold it up the camera so you can get a look at how it goes in, but, I mean, even holding this up to a light, it's really, really, really hard to get any kind of light out of this sucker. So, yeah, that is dark. Yeah, so it looks like a Russian Imperial Stout. It looks super dense. And like I said, it was aged with cocoa nibs, vanilla beans, cinnamon sticks, and habanero peppers. I didn't look it up, so I don't know what it's aged in. I don't know if it's barrel aged, or I don't know if it's just aged in whatever it would be, the secondary, just without wood, or I don't know. So we're going to find out. Huge. Huge and delicious. Nice roasted malts, but not dry and overbearing. Really nice sweetness for me. It's like a mixture of like cherry, cocoa nib, and just sweet malt. Just a dash of coffee for good measure. What do they say? Cinnamon. I guess you can... Just a little bit in there. Just a little bit of spiciness more than cinnamon. It's probably from the cinnamon. Could be from the habanero peppers too, so it's a combination of those two for me. You know, just a touch of vanilla. I usually don't get vanilla, so if there's a touch of vanilla, chances are it's pretty big, because for some reason I'm flawed and I have a hard time picking vanilla up. So yeah, I mean, it smells like a gigantic, huge, beautiful beer. So there you go. A whole lot of stuff going on. This isn't for the faint of heart. There's a bunch of huge flavors in there. It's not... None of them, even though the roasted malts are not like super overbearing or drying, everything is a punch. It's a punch of this, punch of that, punch of the other. It's not a subtle, super subtle nose, complex and big. So, yeah. Smells good. So hopefully she tastes good. Cheers. There's habanero peppers in that sucker. First things first. Habanero. no doubt about it. No doubt about it. It's probably the biggest thing in the mouth. It's not super spicy. It's not overbearing or hot to where I'm like, ooh, that's uncomfortable. But I mean, it's the start of the show. You do get that cinnamon spice in there. Every sip you get a little bit. I'm going to tell that habanero is going to build and build. You get that cinnamon in there. But to me, cinnamon, even though it's a sweet component, it tends to be spicy. So it's kind of, while it's there, it's being beaten out by the habanero pepper. You can tell it's there, but the habanero is kind of controlling it and overbearing it, which isn't a bad thing. There's not a ton of chocolate there, but you kind of get, which is the reason why this is probably isn't taking off habanero-wise, is that lactose is keeping everything in check. So that's nice. And yeah, a little bit of vanilla, not too much. Again, like I said, I'm not big on picking up vanilla, so that's my curse to bear. But yeah, it's a really, really nice beer. There's something missing though. Something missing. I think it just needs just a notch, and not a lot. For me personally, just a notch more sweetness to make it perfectly balance out. It's a little bit dry in the finish. If you kind of just kicked it up, made it a little bit sweeter, kind of dummied down that dryness just a skosh, I think this thing would be an amazing home run of a beer. It's still absolutely fantastic. Rating wise, I'm going to give it a 90. I just really like it. I'm a sucker for spiced beers. I'm a sucker for peppered beers, whether it be the Chocoveza from Stone or Dudicillo's Root de Especies, the peppercorn beer, or this with the habanero pepper. I'm a sucker for peppered beers, especially when you combine it. And it says Russian Imperial Stout. I didn't even talk about that. That's kind of where this one might go a little bit out of left field, because it's not a Russian Imperial Stout. It's more a milk stout. It's absolutely milk stout. It's not a Russian Imperial. But you're kind of splitting hairs there. And I rate on overall taste, not within style. So, I mean, that's just kind of, whatever, splitting hairs at that point. But, yeah, it's an absolutely great beer. Just dial up that sweetness, just a skosh. And I think that's where, if you kind of made it a little bit sweeter, made it a little bit, what's the ABV on this? Did I say it? Or did it tell me? I'm curious. I do not see an ABV on here anywhere. I'm guessing it's not going to be huge in ABV department. If you kind of kicked up the ABV, brought a little bit of sweetness with it, I think that's when it goes from a milk stout to Russian Imperial. And that'll balance things out just a little bit. So yeah, it's nice. It's a beautiful beer. What did I say? I was going to give it probably like a 90 overall. It's a great beer. It's just a skosh off being freaking amazing. And that's, like I said, splitting hairs at that point. It's a great beer. If you're into, Russian Imperials, but you like them a little bit on the lighter side, if you're into milk stouts with a bit of spice, akin to, like I said, like the Chocoveza, it reminds me of that, like a distant cousin. So yeah, it's a really, really nice beer. That habanero is front and center, but not overbearing because of that, held in check by the lactose. And yeah, it's just a really nice beer. Now it feels nice and fluffy. Just a big, not surprise, but I'm super excited that this beer is this good, because to have breweries like this this close to my house that are kind of stepping up to the plate and bringing stuff that's bigger, bolder, and better is exciting. So there you go. Value and availability. Springhouse stuff, it's, your mileage may vary depending on where you live. I live in northeastern Pennsylvania, so I'm close to breweries, so I can typically get their beers, and not super readily available because I believe they're a bit on a smaller scale production-wise, but I can get them. So I'll give it like a 7 on availability and value. I think I paid like $8 or $9 for this. I think it was $8, Could be wrong, but I think paid $8 for that, and for me, that's a freaking home run. That's absolutely fantastic. So I'll give it like a 9 on a value scale. So yeah, 90 overall, up there in value and availability. Just a really nice beer. Can't underestimate how prominent that habanero is, but not overbearing. It's kind of held in check, and it just kind of works for me. So there you go. Another review in the books. If you liked the review, or you hated it, or somewhere in between, or anything at all, please leave a comment in the comment section below. If you like, check us out anywhere else on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped. Massive beers in all 4 of those places. And yeah, another review down. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a beer just as good as this one right now. And hopefully you see you next time. Cheers.